During wartime, the chaos and destruction often provide the perfect cover for some of history's most sinister individuals. While wars are remembered for their battles and political upheavals, some serial killers have used these turbulent times to carry out their horrific crimes, often escaping the attention they might have received in peacetime. Here are 3 such figures, 2 men and 1 woman, who took advantage of war to commit unspeakable atrocities. Gordon Frederick Cumins, known as the Blackout Ripper, was a Royal Air Force airman who outwardly appeared charming and confident. Despite his working-class origins, he adopted an aristocratic demeanour after enlisting in the RAF in the mid-1930s, earning himself the nickname the Duke. However, behind his charismatic exterior lurked a violent, predatory nature that later earned him infamy as one of London's most brutal serial killers. In February 1942, London was in the midst of the Blitz. The city was dark due to blackouts, and air raid shelters were scattered throughout. On the morning of February 9th, the body of 41-year-old Evelyn Hamilton was discovered near an air raid shelter entrance. As an outsider to the city, her murder left police baffled, with no clear leads. However, this was only the beginning. Over the next 6 days, 3 more women were murdered in brutal fashion. Evelyn Oatley, a nightclub hostess, was found in her flat with her throat slashed and severe mutilations to her body. Margaret Lowe, known for her refined manners, was disemboweled in her home. Finally, Doris Juon was found strangled with a stocking, discovered by her devastated husband. It was at this point that police realised they had a serial killer on their hands. Cumins, however, was not finished. He attempted to lure another woman, Margaret Hayward, down a dark street, but she fought back. A young man named John Shan intervened, startling Cumins, who fled the scene but left behind a crucial piece of evidence, his RAF-issued gas mask. Undeterred, he attempted another attack that same night, this time on Catherine Muller. Though she managed to fight him off and call for help, he lingered in her flat, muttering about drinking too much and even offering her money in an apparent attempt to silence her. Later that night, Cumins stole another airman's gas mask, hoping to claim his own had been swapped by accident. However, his attempts to cover his tracks failed. His abandoned gas mask, marked with his RAF identification number, led police straight to him. Further investigation revealed that he had kept souvenirs from his victims in his quarters, and serial numbers on the money he had given Mulher matched his own RAF pay packet. After a week of terror, Gordon Frederick Cumins was arrested on February 14, 1942. He was later convicted of 4 murders, though he was suspected of at least 2 more. Justice was swift. On June 25, 1942, he was executed by hanging. In Italy, another wartime killer was making headlines, but this one had a horrifyingly unique modus operandi. Leonardo Cianciulli, known as the soap maker of Correggio, was believed to have suffered from severe mental instability from an early age. Married to a civil servant, she eventually settled in Correggio, where her descent into madness led to a shocking series of crimes. Years earlier, a fortune teller had given her a chilling prophecy. She would have many children, but they would all die young. Tragically, this prediction seemed accurate. Of her 17 pregnancies, only 4 of her children survived. Consumed by paranoia and desperation, she was determined to protect her son Giuseppe at any cost. When World War II broke out in 1939 and Giuseppe was conscripted, Cianciulli convinced herself that human sacrifice was the only way to keep him safe. Working as a fortune teller and matchmaker, she lured unsuspecting women into her home. Her first victim was Faustina Setti, a 50-year-old woman seeking a husband. After drugging her with poisoned wine, Cianciulli killed her with an axe, then dismembered her body into 9 pieces. She boiled the remains with caustic soda until they dissolved into a dark, viscous substance, which she then disposed of in a septic tank. However, her gruesome work did not end there. She mixed the coagulated blood with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, eggs and butter to create crunchy tea cakes, which she shared with unsuspecting neighbours and even her own son. Soon after, she repeated her crimes with 2 more victims. Francesca Soavi, who believed she was receiving a job opportunity, and Virginia Cacioppo, a retired opera singer lured in with similar false promises. Their fates were the same: murdered, dismembered, and turned into soap and pastries. Her reign of terror was cut short when Cacioppo's sister-in-law reported her missing. Investigators traced her last known location to Cianciulli, whose home was soon raided. Faced with overwhelming evidence, she confessed immediately, showing no remorse and even stating that she would kill again if it meant protecting her son. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum, where she died of a stroke in 1970. Meanwhile, in Nazi-occupied France, yet another wartime serial killer was at work. Marcel Petiot, later dubbed Dr. Satan, had a history of troubling behaviour. Expelled multiple times as a youth, he was later charged with various petty crimes but was declared mentally unfit to stand trial. Despite this, he managed to obtain a medical degree and later enlisted in the French army during World War I. After suffering multiple nervous breakdowns, he deliberately shot himself in the foot to escape service. By the time World War II erupted, Petiot had reinvented himself as a member of the French resistance, using this cover to commit his crimes. Initially, he targeted drug addicts and vulnerable individuals who would visit his clinic and never return. But as the war intensified, he expanded his operations, posing as a savior for those fleeing Nazi persecution. He promised desperate refugees safe passage to Argentina, but instead they met horrific deaths in his home. His crimes went unnoticed until March 1944, when neighbours reported a horrific stench and thick smoke pouring from his residence. Police arrived to discover what could only be described as a house of horrors. Inside, they found blood-stained tools, discarded belongings, and grotesque contraptions. In the basement, coal stoves still contained human remains. In the stables, a pit filled with body parts hastily covered in quicklime hinted at the sheer scale of his atrocities. When confronted by police, Petiot brazenly identified himself as his own brother and claimed that the bodies were those of German collaborators and traitors. He insisted that he was working as part of the resistance and had 300 confidential files that needed to be destroyed before the Nazis could get to them. His claims, combined with the general mistrust of the Nazi occupiers, caused the police to hesitate, giving him ample time to escape. For months, Petiot evaded capture, travelling across France while authorities pursued false leads. However, by April 1944, his wife and brother were arrested, and soon after, he too was tracked down and taken into custody. Throughout his trial, he maintained his innocence, claiming he had only killed Nazi collaborators. However, at least 26 bodies were officially linked to him, and the real number was suspected to be much higher. In May 1946, Marcel Petiot was executed by guillotine. True to form, he smiled as the blade fell, sealing the fate of one of France's most notorious serial killers.